I'm not exactly sure if I actually get any real benefit of having a lot of stuff on screen, as opposed to I can relax my eyes so much I don't even have to focus. The words are so big. Like I actually program pretty zoomed in. My text is bigger than this when I program, and so it's just that it's so comfortable. I don't even have to exert any effort to read the code.
But you have to kind of train your brain to know that you can navigate in the like spatially using keys.
Yeah. Neovim, by the way.
Oh, maybe it has everything to do with Neovim. Okay.
All right. And then Neovim's obviously the next big one. I love
Okay.
Neovim. Reason being is that I think you can make all the arguments you want about which editor is the best. I do not think you can make an argument that Vim motions aren't superior.
Here we go. Can you explain Vim motions?
Okay,
What is this? So Neovim, Vim is an old school editor. Neovim,
it's a modern take on an old school editor.
yeah. And what's ELI5? What does it take to work with Neovim?
Okay. I thought you were talking about a Vim motion there. That's how I know, but you know that meme that's just like, hey Jarvis, can I tell you about Vim motions? Because they can't fit anything else in their head because they only have Vim motions. You said EL5, like explain it like I'm 5.
Yeah.
But in my head, it's like, okay, E is jumped to the end of the word, L is one more. Right? Like, dude, I'm so like broken. I'm like, okay, Vim motion when I hear letters. So you can think of it like this: is that Vim has a language to describe movements in text. Because its primary mode of operation is manipulating or editing text. So it is a well thought through set of movements, deleting, yanking, pasting, copying, all that kind of stuff that goes in, motions that are optimized for working with pretty much code. A good example, say you have 3 lines of code you want to delete. If you're in VS Code, take your little beautiful mouse, highlight those things, press the backspace. That's lovely. Your hand left the keyboard. Very simple to do, though. It's very beginner friendly. I was a huge Vim hater, by the way. So I just want you to know that before we go into this. I was probably the biggest Vim hater. If there was Saul to Apostle Paul, I am like the Saul to Apostle Paul of Vim. Just so you see how big the gap was.
Yep.
Or you can do something that's like, I don't know what the VS Code shortcut is, but I'm sure there's some keys you can press to delete the current line you're on. Delete.
Yep.
Right? You can just do that. In Vim, I can go DAP, delete around paragraph. All contiguous code in that thing. I'm going to delete, so D. Then I can choose my motion I want to take, AP, around paragraph. Or maybe I want to D. F mean jump up to the next character that matches the next character I'm going to press. So DF opening parenthesis will delete everything from your cursor up to the first opening parenthesis. So you get to describe your motion in these little keystrokes. And as you get really good, you've seen people that can master Fortnite. It's the same thing with mastering Vim motions. When you get so good, you no longer think about each individual movement. Instead, you're just like, get rid of the paragraph, jump here, jump this, highlight this, yank this, do this. It becomes so fast that you can superiorly edit text at a very fast rate. And there comes a point when you know your language really well, you know the problem you're really working on really well, where editing text and getting code out actually becomes one of the many bottlenecks. People always talk about, well, most of the time I think. Most of the time I'm not thinking, I'm programming. I know what I want to do. I want to go as fast as possible because I've been just doing it for so long and I'm so familiar with kind of the general space that it becomes a huge problem for me. I cannot tell you how many times that I've been purely bottlenecked by the fact that I just can't type fast enough. I just need to get it out of my head onto the text editor. And so that's why I think Vim motions are superior in all aspects. Keep your hands on the keyboard, on the home row, and can manipulate text in very wide and fast ways.
Oh, so this is not just about writing text. This is about modifying text. It's primarily about modifying text.
Yes.
And I'm sure that most editors, including Emacs, including VS Code, can do all those same things, but there is something they just don't encourage you to discover those things.
Yeah.
That's like an important thing about a lot of technologies and programming languages, that a lot of them can do a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
But it's something about whether it's the community or the style of the language or anything like this that encourages you to not be lazy in the beginning and learn the fast way to edit text in this particular example.
Yeah.
How to use the keyboard. That's a fascinating sort of just reality of how technology is used. You want to be encouraged to find the fast thing as quickly as possible so that long term it's efficient and fun to use.
It takes a long time for dividends, like a long time. But on top of that, notice I didn't say Vim. I'm not saying go use Vim. I'm saying Vim motions. Let me give you one more example. Okay, I'm a big fan. Okay, let's say you have a line that contains some variable, some function you're calling something that takes in a string. And you need to do that again. So you would typically copy that line, you'd paste that line below, you'd go into the string, and you'd change the string. Let's say it's calling some sort of configuration. You need to call it 3 times with 3 different configuring strings. In Vim, I like to do Shift V to highlight the whole line, then Y. Some people do YY, but I don't like to do double ones. I like to be able to do 2 different fingers because you can do that way faster than 1 finger twice. It's just a little optimization for me because you can't press that as fast. So anyways, very optimized in my approach. So I yank the line, paste the line, CI double quotes will delete everything inside the first occurring string. Then I can type the string, escape, save. And so it's like so optimized that I can just jump so fast in between that. Whereas the copying and pasting line is probably the same speed, but the navigating to the string, deleting what's currently in the string, and then, like that's such a fast motion in Vim. And I just do that all the time.
To backtrack, really dumb question, CI, what's the difference between typing the letters and using the letters to navigate and edit? How do you switch between the 2 modes?
Okay, so insert mode means that you're just putting in text.
Yep.
And then normal mode means that you're moving your cursor.
And how do you switch between the 2?
Escape. Escape goes from insert mode into normal mode. And to go into insert mode, press I to take your current cursor and go to the beginning, A to go to the end of your cursor, capital A to go to the end of the line, capital I to go to the beginning of the line, O to put a new line below, and then put your cursor at the proper indented for the language, Shift O to shift your current line down, and then put a new line in. Like you can see, there's like
so you're pressing escape a lot.
Yeah, I mapped mine. I do Control C. Control C does the same thing except for in one edge case. People hate that. I got used to it just due to the fact that I was using IntelliJ, and I really hate pressing the escape key. So I just got used to pressing it.
So that seems like an essential thing to do if you're using Neovim, to map escape to something.
Cap lock would be like your standard go-to.
Oh yeah, I map it too. Cool, I got you.
Yeah, so then it's just really easy to press it and boom, boom, boom. Not a big deal at all. But yeah, I think that if you're willing to learn it, Vim motions are superior. But if you're not willing to learn it, then they're not superior. You should just not do it, right? If you're willing to endure pain, it's good. If you're not, it's actually way worse. It's 100 times worse.
Right. So if you like pain, you use Neovim. Totally. I understand.
Yeah, you're totally on board. See, now you get it.
If you like joy, you use Emacs. So,
sorry. Did Emacs ever get a good text editor? I know they're a great operating system, but I never caught up if they got a good text editor.
Operating system. I think you've been miseducated, my friend. So at least 30 minutes on Emacs versus Neovim is what Reddit requested. Have you actually used Emacs in order to be able to talk so much shit, or no?
I used it for a year.
You used it for a year?
Yeah. Do Max, Space Max, and regular Emacs.
But you don't know Lisp, so did you really use it?
I kind of hacked my way through kind of like, okay, so this is how the configure, like you can kind of get your way through and do all that.
So you recommend to sort of master Neovim and really learn the depths of it, but Emacs is okay to just kind of use before making a judgment. I think everybody.
You got me on that one.
Yeah. No. And what's Neovim written? Is Lua?
Yeah. So Lua would be the configuration language, but you have it's written in C, but you have Lua and Lua is just a dead simple language. Anyone can program Lua.
I actually don't know why. I think it's because my love for Lisp that I went with Emacs. I think you just choose a path and you walk down that path.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's just such a vibrant, intense battle between the two communities, you just start fighting just because everybody else is fighting. And then one day you're like an old warrior, like on a horse, and you're wondering what was this all for? And I mean, it's quite sad in all seriousness that I haven't to this day tried Neovim. It's I think because there is a learning curve. There's a learning curve to a lot of these editors.
Yeah.
To really
learn it.
To really learn it. And I think this is some of the criticism of maybe VS Code or Sublime or Atom, but that it's so easy to not learn it, to just kind of half-ass use it. And there is a big benefit to having editors that like force you to have some learning curve where you like take the art, the science, the procedure of editing seriously, because like you spend so much time in it, you might as well like learn like how to use the thing.
My big takeaway, really, like what I'm trying to say with all these words, is that I honestly don't actually think that the editor obviously does not make the programmer, but I think it says a lot about your character as a programmer if you don't know how to use your editor well. There's something about a person who's willing to commit their life to programming and spending literally 50,000 hours doing an activity over the course of their lifetime and never take the time to learn their editor through and through. It just seems strange, like, right? You'd never see that in another world where people would be able to build something or do something and just completely forget how these things work and only just focus on one part of like their craft. And so to me, it's just like, it doesn't matter how you use it. I want to see the person that just knows how to use it and they know how to use it well. When there's a problem, they can say why the problem exists and then go and fix the problem. To me, that's like, there you go. You've done it. You now know your tool. Go forth and conquer with said tool.
Especially for tools you use a lot.
If
You have to look at like your whole life, whatever, if you're a developer or anything, like what is the thing you do a lot?
Meetings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
sorry, keep going.
Ask a question like, how can this be done a lot better? Because every single day you do this for hours a day. How many hours did you spend on thinking how to do this better? Or whether to do it at all in the case of meetings. People surprisingly just don't do this enough. I see this, just to go back to jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of people that show up and do jiu-jitsu or martial arts, and they do it the same way over and over and over, and they invest tremendous amount of energy, and they don't ask, like, how do I do it differently to improve faster? In the case of jiu-jitsu or any kind of sport, same with practicing the piano or the guitar. They just religiously put in a lot of time and derive a lot of joy from getting better. They don't enough ask the meta question of like, how can I do this better? And with editors, it's surprisingly how often people do just that.
Yeah.
With typing, it's surprising how many people do just that. Like you said, they're pecking or looking down. It's like the quality of life improvement you can have by learning to touch type, by just like typing without looking. It's like, it's like immeasurable. You're bringing a lot of joy to your life because all of us are typing a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the reason, by the way, I was extremely efficient with Emacs. I'm sure, all jokes aside, it feels like Neovim has more room for the kind of efficiency I've had with Emacs to be able to move really fast, as you described me, to edit. There is a real joy. It's not just efficiency. It's a freedom that you can get when you get really good with an editor. The reason I chose to go with VS Code is it felt like there's going to be an acceleration of features to which Neovim or Emacs will not be able to catch up and I don't mean in the next 5 years, I mean in the next 30 years. And it felt like I almost wanted to take the pain of learning new editors constantly and just switching and learning that, because I was getting so comfortable in Emacs. This Kinesis keyboard, everything, all the shortcuts, I know how to program. And it felt like this is not, Neovim will not be here in 50 years. Possibly might be, I don't know. But it felt like you want to learn these constant sort of different technologies. Cursor is a great example of that. I've primarily am using Cursor now. I'll go back to VS Code and Cursor. The skill of using AI is a real skill. Like, from the shortcuts to the timing to the layout of the windows to how I think about where, when, and how to use AI that doesn't distract me, that it empowers me, not just for the fuck of it or for the fun of it, for the actual measure of productivity. It's a skill. And I feel like I would be stuck in local maxima of comfort if I stayed with Emacs. And maybe the same should be true for me with Neovim. I should try it seriously. I'm sure there's a plugin, like a Copilot type of situation that you could set up with Neovim. I should possibly consider that. But like Cursor is doing a lot of really fascinating stuff on the IDE side, not just sort of generate code and like edit that code manually. It's like continuously be able to rewrite code. It's like the idea of tab, 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 tab. Move the cursor around, but also modify parts of code and do the diff really nicely. That, whether it's Cursor or VS Code that wins that battle out with Copilot, I don't know. But like that feels like a fundamentally different experience than the really efficient joyful experience that you just described, and you're selling me on this, is Neovim. That doesn't have AI in the picture, obviously, immediately, but you can. Yeah, absolutely.
I would 100% agree that Cursor seems like such a cool product. Like I actually think there's like a lot of really neat things coming down with all of that. And I could, I could change from Neovim. I don't use Neovim because I love Neovim. I use Neovim because I love the instrument I play. And so it's like if Cursor can meet those needs, I could see myself moving over. I don't have some sort of obsessed attachment with it. I am curious though that, every time I use AI, I think I just have skill issues. I think I'm just so riddled with skill issues when it comes to using AI.
Yeah.
I've yet to be able to use it in a way that I really love it.
We'll talk about it, but before then...
Oh, ball to sit on. I forgot to say that. Ball to sit on.
Yeah.
Desk needs to be properly heighted. One monitor. I should be 2/3 way up the screen. I don't like to turn my head. I prefer my hands in kind of like a pistol neutral position. And there you go.
A ball to sit on. Yoga ball.
Yoga ball.
What's that about?
It just helps just maintain good posture, because when I have something to lean against, I do this.
So you're for hours sitting without... Wait, what are you doing?
I sit on the ball and then I bounce.
Is your back leaning on a thing?
No.
What the fuck?
Well, how else do you like the
How else do you? You're the only person in the world sitting on a yoga ball as you program for hours. You do realize this, right?
It feels great. I mean,
okay.
The problem is whenever I get a back, I just slouch. And I find myself just getting uncomfortable. And I'm like, why am I'm uncomfortable. Like my shoulders are kind of getting goofed up. I just like, I'm chicken necking, like constantly, like, it's just like.
But you're able to keep your posture for hours on a yoga ball?
Yeah. And so I can just do that. And then I find myself, if I slouch, I'm like, okay, nope, got to get back.
You have like incredible back muscles or what?
No, I don't think it takes incredible back muscles to
keep posture,
remain upright. Yeah, I think that's a pretty basic human function. I would not consider myself a strong person.
Yeah, basic human function. I don't know.
Facts and logic.
Okay, cool. With one screen, Neovim with operating system,
Linux. Just because I want a good window manager. That's the whole press one button, bring up Chrome. I just use i3. I'm sure I could use something better than i3. People always tell me all these window managers are really great, but I just have like those three screens I switch between, so I don't really care what I use, just as long as I can press one button and go.
Yeah, I'm the same. So half and half. So half Linux, the other half Windows with Linux, meaning WSL. What's that? Windows subsystem for Linux.
Yeah,
Weasel. See, no, there's got to be a better one that's more positive. Weasel just
seems right up Microsoft's alley. That seems perfect.
So people often accuse me of being a shill for somebody. Sometimes dictators. If I'm a shill for anybody, it's for Windows. There you go. I get paychecks every week.
Dang.
From
bought by Bill Gates.
Well, he's not Microsoft anymore. Ballmer. developers. No, I'm just joking. I think, man, I need to try Mac. I need to try. I'm surrounded by people with iPhones. I use Android. Yeah, there you go. See,
we're losers together.
Losers on a sinking ship. Okay, so just to stay on Neovim for a sec. And to give love and a shout out to your friend Tej.
He streams, by the way.
He's a streamer, and I subscribed, and I've been enjoying it. My allegiance is slowly shifting from you to him. It's the quality is far superior with him. The looks, the intelligence, the skill set, everything just far superior. No, okay. So he,
you're making his day.
All right. So he mentioned that he loves Neovim because it gives him the ability to eliminate having to do things he doesn't like. That's just a nice way to frame sort of what the automation process that you described of automating away, assigning shortcuts to things that are painful. So that procedure. I mean, I wonder if you agree with that.
Fully agree. We have very similar mentalities when it comes to usage of Neovim, why people should use it, all that kind of stuff, and how to even use it well. He definitely takes it probably to a further degree. He spends more time automating and all that. I don't necessarily derive a lot of joy from getting the perfect setup. And so but a lot to learn from him. He's very, very good at what he does. He is by far probably one of these. He's 30 years old, been programming for not too many years, and he is one of the most talented developers for sure. It's very shocking to see how smart someone can be.
So people should check him out at TEEJ_DV.
Yep.
Tej.
DV. It's his name. His last name is DeVries.
Oh, it's not developer. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's just TJ. That's just his name. Just
All right,
spelt kind of fun.
What do you love about him?
Wow. How much did he pay you to ask these questions?
Thousands of dollars.
Just so
Thousands.
many dollars.
I can't even count that many dollars.
He is trust. Obviously, trust is the biggest thing, especially in the quote unquote streaming YouTube kind of world, if you will. It's very easy to find people that will want to like be a part of stuff. People tend to latch onto things, and it's very hard to find someone that you can really, really trust. And so he's just somebody whom I can genuinely trust. He'll always tell the truth. He's all the right things for a good friend in this kind of endeavor.
So as a good friend, he told me questions I could backstab you with.
Okay, I hate him. I forgot how much I don't trust him.
So speaking of Harpoon, you mentioned it. He said, to ask you about whether basically how many years or decades it's going to take to transition to Harpoon 2 to actually release it, develop it, and so on. Can you describe what Harpoon is and why you seem to be incapable of finishing a single project?
Okay. That was a lovely framed question. So Harpoon 2 is actually done. This is what I did. To avoid the swirl and the thousands of questions I will inevitably get, I kept the master branch as Harpoon 1, and I've kept Harpoon 2 as Harpoon 2 branch.
Mm-hmm.
And people that don't read the README to say that I just use Harpoon 2 now, that's their fault. That's it. I just don't want, I really don't like answering hundreds of questions about open source stuff. I used to love doing open source and all that, but I kind of got my soul crushed during the Falcor years. And so I guess I'm just kind of allergic to being a really active maintainer. I build everything just for me. Like Harpoon's just literally just built for me. It's just what I spent 3 months trying to figure out the most optimal navigation for files. Mm-hmm. And that's what I came up with. So Harpoon, it's a take on alternate file. If you're familiar with alternate file, typically you'll have this in all editors where you can go back to the file you were just in. And so that means you can have effectively two files you swap back and forth in. You probably used it a bunch, really fast way to navigate. Pretty nice thing to do. I want alternate file, but like 3 of them or 4 of them. And so that's all Harpoon is just being able to pin a file. And so I have one button to press to go to a file, another for another, another for another. And so I can have up to 4. So I just had my 4 power fingers for Dvorak. What is that? That's HTNS. So if I go Control, HTN, or S, it goes to one of the 4 files. And that's it. That's all it is. And you could technically make it so you can add in functions and be able to execute things externally. So you can open up terminals. You can send requests off to servers. You can do anything you want with it. I just have it primarily designed for opening files.
Since you mentioned, what keyboard layout do you use? You use Dvorak?
I use Dvorak, but I used a custom version of Dvorak. The reason why I used it is in 2017, we were just having my second kid. It was Christmas, and I'm having so much pain in my arm, and I'm sitting there freaking out like, oh my gosh, is this the end of my career? Am I done programming? Is this all over? And so I decided that I was going to create my own keyboard layout optimized to prevent the pain that I'm experiencing. So I used Dvorak as the base and then laid out the symbols in a symmetrical, reasonable way so that it's opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing, right? And so and they all are right here. I actually have to hold shift to press a number. So symbols are actually my first thing I get to press. And so it's very optimized for a laptop keyboard layout. So I can use my laptop in a very efficient, nice way. That's how I got started on Dvorak and all that. I wouldn't actually recommend it because I didn't have a Kinesis at the time. I didn't even know Kinesis existed at that time. And so when I discovered Kinesis in also 2017, that's when I was like, oh, okay.
Would you recommend Kinesis to people?
I am technically sponsored by Kinesis. So people, it's hard for someone to believe someone that's sponsored by it, but I did use it before I ever became sponsored. They're the only sponsor that I reached out to and said, I need a sponsorship from you. You are the key. I'm going to use you either way. Yeah. You can say no, but I really love it. And for the first 3 years of using Kinesis, they gave me free Kinesi as my sponsorship.
Kinesi. Yeah, I'm always torn. I tried to leave so many times.
You can't. It's too good.
But see, I have this absurd situation of like traveling with it.
I relate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally, going to the war zone in Ukraine. I have a Kinesis keyboard, a laptop, and like just a few other small things, and that's it. And it's like, is Kinesis keyboard really going to be 30% of volume that you're bringing to a war zone?
Looks like the answer is yes.
Yeah. Like, do you really derive that much value? I think it's probably spiritual or psychological for me. It feels like home. There's comfort associated with it.
Yeah.
I try to leave.
And I love this experience. You just it's like a relationship you have with the thing.
It is. It's is it? But I'm trying to figure out if it's a toxic relationship or not. I think it's mostly love. I think it's love. Like all relationship, there's some push and pull complications, but
they say that distance makes the heart grow fonder. So maybe sometimes the Kinesis keyboard needs to stay at home, and the laptop keyboard can be the one, so that your heart grows even more fond and that connection grows even deeper.
I already miss it as you say it, so I don't know. I think it's coming along to all the trips. If it breaks down, though, I was worried that Kinesis was shut down as a company. I'm like, what's the business model here? Who actually uses these keyboards, right? But apparently it's still going strong.
Yeah. Who uses these keyboards as you use the keyboard? Yeah. Like, I have to take it with me everywhere. Yeah. I wonder who uses these keyboards.
Yep.